Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
Hey,
hi,
everyone.
hi, hi, my friend. How are you?
Girl, I'm good. I'm good. Apparently, my weather is it's a lot better over here than your weather.
Yes. So, just so you all know, we are under a tornado warning here in Central Florida. So, if my internet goes out,
Mhm.
we'll try this again some other time.
And I start screaming, y'all will know why.
Yeah, yeah. Just have to take it and run. That's all.
That's it. That's it. It's just like, she'll be back, everyone. She just went for a jog. That was it. That's it. She
Yeah.
just went for a quick jog.
Just went to go hide in an internal room with no windows. It's fine. I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be fine. It'll be gone by
I think
4:15
so.
local time.
There you go. There. That.
That's what I
Perfect.
say anyway.
And we'll be done by 6. So.
Yes. We were just talking about that. Well, welcome, everybody, to our Empower panel for June
Yes.
2022.
Yes.
How's the weather where
Crazy.
you are? Drop in the comments. Where are you watching
Yes.
from?
Yes.
Do you have a
Yes.
tornado
Roll call,
warning?
everybody. Do you have? Yes. Definitely tell us if you have a tornado warning or anything. We want to know.
Yes.
But really, how's the weather? Where are you at? Come on, give it to us. Roll call right here. Come on.
Yes. Kansas, we go outside and watch. Yes.
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 Kansas.
Um,
Southwest Virginia.
yeah. Yeah. I grew up in Ohio, so we would do the same. We would do the same thing. But also we had a basement in Ohio, which I assume you have basements over there in Kansas. And we don't have
We
basements here
did.
in Florida
I
because they'd be
imagine. Yeah.
underwater. So
Yeah.
here we
No,
go.
there you go. Yeah. Yeah. So definitely. Illinois, what's up?
Oh my gosh. It is 104 in Texas. Oh,
Freaking God.
Veronica. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Joyce, that's fine. Watch the replay, girl. Do your thing. Work your job. Hey, look, all power to you, Joyce. All power to you.
Mama's got to work.
That's it. Gotta work. Gotta make that money.
All right. Well, I
Grossly
think
raining on and off. So.
Virginia.
Oh, gross and raining. It was raining earlier for us here in Georgia. I'm in Powder Springs, Georgia right now, and it was raining for us. It's a little gray outside, but other than that, no tornado. So not that.
I mean, we seem okay. The hail has stopped. The hail has resided. Oh, I spoke too soon. Everything's fine. Awesome. Well, we are here today to talk about giving presentations because obviously,
Yes,
experts here.
yes. Of course. Sort of. I'm
No,
semi-experts. We're just winging it as we go.
I will tell you to start this presentation. There are very few experts when it comes to public speaking. And if you think about it in your mind, you can probably pick out some presentations that you've been to or heard, particularly if you have been to those big conferences. It sticks out in your mind the people who, do this for a living and have done it hundreds or maybe even 1,000 times. You do not have to be that way to give a presentation. And that is why we're doing this session today.
That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right. Like, as you put it, there really is there's no expert. There's no one way of doing it. You'll find there are universal steps that to help you get it together, but ultimately you'll find your own style and own way of doing it. Just make it yours.
And there's only one way to do that, and it's put yourself out there and do it. That's the only way you'll find your way.
Absolutely. Got to do it.
So if you don't know who we are, we'll do a quick introduction. My name is Sara Weston. I am the founder and executive director of 911 Wonder Women, which is a nonprofit organization that's committed to providing tools and resources to women in 911. This is part of what we're doing, training, low cost and free training. And this is for everyone, not just women in 911. This is for our Wonder Men as well. So I have been in public safety for 17 years as a consultant for next gen 911 systems. And I'm saying this today in particular, it's important. I have a 6-year-old and 4-year-old, both boys, and they're both home with me at the moment. I have a sign on my door that says stop. So we'll see. They might make an appearance. If they do, we'll handle it. Samantha.
We'll make it work. And I am Samantha Hawkins. For those who don't know me, I'm a CTO, the Cobb County Department of Emergency Communications. I hail out of Marietta, Georgia. So if you took the 17 from Sarah's bio and dropped the 1, and you leave a 7, that's me. 7 years in public safety, 911. That's what I've known. I'm a proud member of my peer support team. I put that there because as proud as I am to be a CTO, as much as I love being a training officer, and was overjoyed when I got that, there's no more important role than peer support, because that's what we do, that anytime, all the time anyway. So I always include that in my bio, because being a member of peer support is just absolutely incredible. But I'm also a public speaker, kind of, sort of, started doing that, and I'm a bit of a writer, and I am a sour gummy worms. And sour gummy worms is amazing. Yes, Selena. Yes, thank you, Sara. And so that's me. Kind of like different background than Sara, even though I tell her all the time she's an honorary dispatcher. I know she never actually wore the headset, but we claim her as our own. I am, even though I'm a training officer, I'm still very much on the front lines. I am a dispatcher, call taker, everything. So it's pretty much my world. It's my industry. So, yeah.
And Sam and I met through 911 Wonder Woman programming, and part of what we do collectively is try to empower all of you in 911 to take that step, whatever it is, to grow personally and professionally. And if speaking at conferences and sharing your story and your ideas is something you're interested in, then you're in the right place.
Exactly. This is the session for you.
Yes.
Agenda.
Okay. What are we talking about? So we had in the session description 6 steps. 6 steps, including the first one. Hey, you're fine.
No. I need to plug in. The
first one, which is finding your voice, is one of the 6 steps.
Yes. We're going to start with the finding your voice thing, because Sara, from the get-go, when she brought this idea to me, that was in the title. She was like, it's going to be something, and it's finding your voice. And that was one of those things I just kind of flipped over in my head over and over and over, like, wait, there's so much meat to that, which we're going to get into, because yes, this is about, the steps towards building that your first presentation and doing it. But the finding your voice, that's a step all its own. And if we get into that, you'll realize that that's separate from the presentation thing. That can happen way before you ever give your first presentation, when you actually find your voice. But yeah, it's gonna be some good stuff. Go ahead.
And then we'll walk you through 5 tactical steps towards finding your voice, getting your idea, putting that down on paper, all the way through to presentation.
No!
And then we'll ask you your questions. We'll ask for your questions. Okay. With that,
yes, we will save time for a Q&A. We will do this Q&A. Oh, yes. Finding your voice. So there's, I mean, again, Sarah's gonna also, she's gonna talk about, I know, what that means to her, because again, when she put that there and I slept on it, I do that all the time. I slept on it, thought about it, and just was like, okay, when did I find my voice? So for me, finding your voice is that moment. It's that opportunity. It's that first time when you actually take ownership of your role in 911. And it could happen within your organization. It could be that first time you ever brought to your admin staff, to your supervisors, an idea like, hey, everybody's been down and out. Call volumes have been high. It's just been so much. I think we need to have a morale committee. Okay. We had someone at our agency who did that. He was like, we need to have a morale committee. And it could be a moment like that. The first time you move from simply, I work in 911, I work in this field and everything, to here I am actually making an impact in a way. That to me is finding your voice. But when I found my voice, it actually did not come within my organization. And since then, I've done my part and felt like I've made an impact, and things happening in my organization. But if you ask me, hey Sam, when did you find your voice? You might think it was Dare to Be Great 3, which was my first presentation. And that's what we want, Sarah and I. We want you to have that moment of that first presentation you give. But that wasn't when I found my voice. I found my voice not in June 2021 with Dare to Be Great 3. It was in September 2020 when I wrote a blog for a 911 Wonder Woman site, guest blog called Bigger Than the Bias, being a person of color in 911. And I don't think, Sarah, for a hot New York minute, that Dare to Be Great 3 would have ever happened. I would have never spoken if I didn't do that blog first. So what you'll find is maybe finding your voice is that first time you do that presentation. Or maybe it comes way before then when you finally take ownership. So what do you say, girl? What's your thoughts on that?
You never know when that moment is going to come for you, either finding your voice for the first time or continuing to grow. It's a journey. It's always a journey because we're always evolving as people. So saying yes to opportunities or reaching out to people and asking for opportunities or advice. He's scared of the thunder, y'all. Reaching out to people and asking, you never know what's going to happen. So even if you feel scared or you don't quite have the confidence, taking that just courageous step of reaching out or saying yes to an opportunity that you never thought you would can help you. These are things that can help you. And I know sometimes you feel stuck. I felt stuck for most of my career, if I'm being honest. The catalyst for me in finding my voice was when I became a mom. And I had to stand up for myself to make decisions that were right for my baby. And as much as I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad, I couldn't just find it myself. It is difficult for some people. For some people, it's not. But for me, it really was because I'm always a people pleaser. I say it all the time. I'm a recovering people pleaser, and I don't want to make anyone mad, and I don't want to disappoint anybody. So
yes.
So that, along with changing a lot of things in my life, becoming a mother, when you finally find your voice and use it, for me, it was standing up to an employer, and that kind of changed the trajectory of my life ever so slightly. But that's what we can do if we kind of seize that moment and purposefully try to put ourselves out there.
Love that.
And then
Absolutely.
it's grown. It's grown for me.
Absolutely.
Has it grown for you? Do you find it easier to speak up and share your opinion, the more you do it?
I do. And, and at the same time, it still can be nerve-wracking. For me, sometimes you don't, assertiveness is not like natural for me. It's not natural. I can be assertive in my own head and know, as for my own self, but it's gotten easier since I found that voice. But as you put in, and I see in the comments there, Dominique said finding your voice is confidence, and it really is. It's that confidence. But you mentioned how it was, as a mother and how it grew. Sometimes it doesn't happen, in your immediate space. It could happen in your job, or sometimes it could happen outside is when you find your confidence outside of something. And that becomes your strength. Everything else, that first presentation, the second presentation, the third thing that you do, that opportunity to speak on a podcast, you'll draw from the strength of that moment, that first time you put yourself out there and said, maybe I don't see anyone else around me saying this thing, but I'm going to say it because this is how I feel. It comes from that. And that's what I draw from. So when I sit there and an opportunity comes up and it's like, can I do this? I don't know if I can do this. And it's like, well, you didn't think you could do this, or you never thought anyone would care, what you had to say on this. And they did. So that's what, I draw from now. And it, in a sense, it does feel easier. You're right. Mm-hmm.
I love that you've had those experiences, so then you draw from them to find confidence in other areas, and that works for me as well. I think to myself, well, I did this, so I can do that. It helps. It helps. And the reason this is important when it comes to presentations is because you have to believe that your thoughts and your ideas are worth sharing. You have to believe that your voice is going to teach someone something, make the world better, bring a different perspective. Because it does. It absolutely does. But you have to believe that. Otherwise, you're not going to make it through, because it's not easy. It's not easy to build these presentations and get them accepted and giving them. But the foundation is, that what you have to say matters, and you have good ideas, and the world needs to hear them.
Yes. Well put. That is the foundation. That is the first step. And this could be its own presentation. We do have to move on, because it's just been all about finding your voice. But you're right. It's the first step.
We'll do another Empower panel about
we'll do that. Yes. Check mark. Perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
So I know for me, Samantha, I am not a natural public speaker presenter. I am much better with the written word or having one-on-one conversations. It's just not something I'm comfortable with, and it's something that I work on all the time. I feel like you are a much more relaxed, casual, natural speaker. Not to say you don't get nervous or have self-doubt or anything like that.
I do.
But I just find you to be just a very natural speaker. So
and I tell you what,
there's all kinds of
perspective thing. It's all a perspective thing for sure, because I treat it as a conversation. That is what gets me through. I went into it thinking I'm giving a lecture, I'm a professor. Oh no, it would not work. It's a conversation. It's just whatever. Even if it's just me speaking, I'm just having a conversation with the audience. So you're right. The nervousness, the butterflies still comes every single time. But that's how I can have my fun, is that I'm just really talking about something that I'm passionate about. And if you're passionate about it, it's so easy to talk about it. So
yes, that is so key. And that's something I wanted to hit on, is it all starts with an idea. When I did my first presentation, I was like, I don't have anything to talk about. I don't have anything to say. Like, seriously. And also, I thought, I know. Also, I thought, I need to be good at this before I do it. I need to be a public speaker before I speak. And not true. Not true. If I had waited till I was perfect, I still would have never, I would have never spoken about anything yet in my life.
Same.
So,
Same.
that idea is the stage where you need to get over that thought of, well, no one wants to hear from me. What do I have to say? I'm not a good speaker. You need to latch onto that idea, and if it's something that you are passionate about, that will be a lot easier.
That is true.
So Samantha, what if I want to? Sorry, he's okay. What if I want to speak about a topic and I have ideas and perspectives about a certain topic, but someone else has spoken about it before? So why would I do it?
So here's a fact. Here's a absolutely true 100% correct fact. There is nothing new under the sun. Meaning, that topic that you're so passionate about, that you want to talk about, I guarantee you, someone else covered it. But the point is, you're talking about it from your unique perspective, your focus. You think about writers. I'm a writer. Do you know how many romance novels are written in a year? Do you think the major publishers go, you know what? I'm sorry. We already published 10 romance novels this year, so yours is. They don't care. Guess what? Because there's always, you've got the Nicholas Sparks of the world. You've got the Danielle Steele, okay? The late great Toni Morrison. There's all these romance novels. Why do they keep publishing it? Why? We already have a bunch of romance novels. Because the whole point is, it's a different plot, it's a different character, it's something unique, it's a different perspective. So you can cover the same topic. You can, I guarantee you can, check out a presentation by Adam Tim and say, that is awesome. You know what? I totally want to do something on that. Is it going to be as great as Adam Tim? Maybe not. But you can still do it because you can bring your own perspective, your own focus to it. Now there may be something, and you might hear a great presentation and say, man, that's really cool. But you might really be honest with yourself or seek out, talk to somebody and say, do you think I should speak on this? And they're like, no, I don't think you should speak on this because I don't think you have necessarily the knowledge for it. 988 is a big deal. And we've got all these presentations about 988. You will not see me doing a presentation on 988 at this time because it's not something that I'm passionate about. And I don't have the knowledge, or I can't speak on that. But I will, no matter how many presentations are about customer service in 911 and good dispatcher practices and good, kindness and compassion and empathy in 911. I know that's a topic that's covered many, many times, but I can still do a presentation and I can cover it because I can bring my own unique focus. So it's a great question that I'm sure someone will ask and think, well, wait a minute, can I do this? But Sam covered this or Sara covered this. It's okay. You can definitely do a presentation on it as well. So, yes.
So true. You will not find me doing a CTO class because I've never been a trainer in a 911 system center. But I will do next gen presentations every day for the rest of my life because I've been through 15 years worth of them. So it just depends. That's something that you need to look inward and ask yourself when you're brainstorming. I loved the comparison to romance novels. How many people out there watch Hallmark movies at Christmas? Do you, Sam?
All the time. And yes, it's the same plot. Guaranteed. The woman came from New York, and it's a small town, and she came down, and she's going to give up her boyfriend who wears suits for the guy who wears flannels. It's the same story. But every Christmas, they're going to put another one out. I watch it.
We watch them. We watch Candace Cameron's hair be perfect every time. But yeah, you get it. You get the idea.
Wait,
Okay, step 2. You have an idea.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Where do we go from there? We have a good idea, but we have no idea how to get from that to a presentation. The best thing you can do is just do a brain dump. Write it down. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't have the discipline to take this step because it just feels like a lot of work, right? You want me to write? So, type, write, whatever you feel comfortable with. Sometimes I like to type. Sometimes I get like a really nice pen that I just love to write with and just, brainstorm ideas. I have a running document. So if I'm developing a new presentation, and even my old ones, I keep all of this. I just have a document, and like I'll go to the gym, I'll have an idea on the treadmill, I'll come home, all sweaty, type it, add it. Just like grammar, spelling doesn't matter. Sentence structure doesn't matter. It's just like a stream of consciousness of things I was thinking about that may or may not be good for the presentation. And Chris, you're so funny. She says she has a 20-page Word document. Literally, like me too. Like for a presentation that's, an hour, because some ideas are going to make it and some are going to get cut, but you need to get them down on paper in order to take that step.
Absolutely.
We call it free writing.
I'm free. Yeah.
What do you do?
I was thinking of free falling when I thought. I do. Now it's not. It's not. It's probably about 2 pages for me, and it'll make sense to me. No, if anyone else saw it, they'd be like, "What is this?" It's just all over the page, just thoughts, different thoughts, and everything. But you're right. You've got to put all of that down, and then you'll look at it and be like, I cannot do a presentation on all of this. I only have 50 minutes, but that's fine. You're just getting everything down before you start narrowing it down and everything and trimming and everything. But you're right. All the ideas, you've got that one topic at the top. You say, the presentation is going to be on customer service in 911. And now you just put down every thought you've got, all of that. Then you get it. Then you'll work through it. It'll look messy, but that's the point. It's supposed to be messy. It's supposed to be a whole bunch of notes. You can take so much time, on that step alone, just the brainstorming. So.
Yes, it does. That probably takes the most time for me out of everything. I mean, it's weeks. And I'll read a book or I'll read, a chapter of a book and I'll say, oh, that's awesome. I'm going to add some of these thoughts. Just the inspiration could come from anywhere. I have on my phone, I have a running note that's just like, this would make a good presentation, or I should add this. It's okay.
There you go. Yes.
So yeah, this part is very, very important. And I'll circle back to this in a little bit and tell you why. But I'm glad you guys I'm glad you guys do this. I'm looking at the comments.
For a 4-page outline for a 45-minute presentation. I know, right? That's what happened. You'll be like, wait, I can't cover all this. But you're like, it's okay. You'll work through it, but you've just got to because I know for me, at some point, I've got this memory span that I just can't keep everything in. By the time I get through a 12-hour day at work, I could have already lost all the initial ideas I had, what I was going to put on slide 4 of the PowerPoint. So that's why you've got to put it down, or I will forget. I'll start reading a Brene Brown book, and then I got a new quote, and it just replaced the other quote that I had. So you just put it all down. Just put it all down on paper.
Same thing. It's okay. Okay, so after you have your 2 to 20 pages of thoughts, another thing, another experience I want to share is in developing. Sometimes when I'm going through the free writing phase, I will either come up with new ideas or the session I thought I was developing kind of morphs into something different. So it's good to be open and kind of let the ideas flow through that. But once you have all that information, you need to build an abstract. So an abstract is, we're going to show you an example of the one that we made for this exact presentation in a second. But the abstract is a short document that just organizes your thoughts. And most conferences require you to write an abstract to apply, to be selected to be a speaker. So you need this document no matter what. And just a piece of advice from experience is, don't go from idea to the abstract. Don't skip the writing part, because here's what happens. You haven't thought everything through completely, and you apply to be a speaker, and 6 months later you get to the conference, you're like, what was I don't know what I was thinking. Like, what was the point I was trying to make?
So true.
Who wrote this?
So true. I know, right? What was I half awake? Was I? That is a very good point. So true. You're right. You've got to already have it thought out and everything. Because if you just went, here's my idea, light bulb, write this abstract, send it to this conference, they're like, yes, let's do it. And then you're like, wait a minute, I said I was going to cover that. Take the note. You're so right. You've got to already get through that. I know. And you might hear it and you might think, wait, there's all this work before the actual presentation. Yes, it's not, because when you get to the presentation, you're going to realize that's not even as hard work as you think. But before you even get there, it's these steps. It's the putting your thoughts together on the page. Now you're taking those 20 pages, that 4 pages of stuff, and now you're like, okay, I have to actually put together what I want to accomplish in this session, in this abstract. But you're right, you've got to already have that thought out thoroughly before you get to that point.
Apparently I need to find out what a rocket book is. You guys are all talking about it. I've never heard of it. It sounds fun though.
I don't know.
Have you heard of
y'all? You're gonna have to school me. I don't know what a rocket book is. Educate me. What is this?
Yeah, educate us where we go. We can share with other people
too.
Okay, so
What is a rocket?
The abstract usually consists of usually about 3 things: a session description, objectives, and takeaways. What this will do for you is help you to focus and really make a presentation that's not kind of here, there, and everywhere, but actually focused on a point. I know this is hard for you all to see. You don't have to read it because we're speaking to you. But you can see.
Yes.
We have our session title, our presenters, and a session description. So if you are interested in speaking and training, I would suggest you make a Google Doc or a folder that has all of this in it, so that, if you ever do want to use a presentation more than once, you don't have to recreate the wheel.
Exactly. Because that will be what you will use guaranteed when you submit again and again. That same form, same template, everything. So, because as Sara pointed out, every place I've ever presented to so far, when you're pitching it, when you're applying, they're going to ask you for those same things. What's the objectives? What's the takeaways and everything? So if you already have your description, your objectives, everything, have this saved, it's just as simple as okay. And also, just not to forget that the next time around, you're already prepared. So when you're in the middle of that application process, you've already got that template down. You know what they're going to ask you. You've already answered the questions in your head, put it down what you need. So when you apply and you pitch it, you've got, I already know. I figured out what the objectives is going to be for this session. So, yes.
Exactly. And if you get to the session and you do it and some things didn't work, you can just come back here and tweak whatever you need. Add, take away.
Exactly.
So session description, objectives. This is what objectives are, what your goal and what you want to communicate to the audience. And then one you can't see because our faces are in the way are 3 takeaways.
Look how I'm doing so far.
It looks great. 3 takeaways from this session to the attendees. This is very, very important for you as a speaker, for getting your session accepted by a selection committee. What do you want people to walk away from your session with? Because it's all about the audience. So I know when we speak, we feel like it's all about us because we're here like, but it really is about the audience.
It's so true. You're right. And as you put it, the objectives is what you want to communicate to them, but the takeaways are what you want them to get out of it. So the objectives tends to be longer because yes, you've got it broken down of I want to communicate this point, that point, everything. But here's just the takeaways. After the end of that session, what do I want them to walk away? What do I want them to be able to take back to their center, to their organization, to their home, take back and apply to their life? That's what the takeaways really are. So they're both important. They both serve 2 separate purposes, but yeah, both of them are critical to that description. The session description is just describing in a nutshell, here's the summary of what it is. This is what, we're going to touch on, but got to have both objectives, what they're going to learn from it, and what they're going to walk away from that they can actually apply now to their lives.
And this, I'm going to go back to the free writing exercise. Writing your session description based on that is important because has anyone here ever been to a presentation that you thought was going to be about something because of the session description and was totally about something else?
Oh my!
I know I have. All the time, right? All the time. It happens all the time.
And you're looking at the booklet, you're looking at the brochure like, wait a minute, did I this is what it says, but we're like 20 minutes in and we haven't even covered anything.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't want to deceive your audience. You don't want your audience to walk away like, well, it was a good session, but this is not what I thought. Or it was decent, but this isn't what I signed up for. So you're right. That it has to, gotta match, gotta coordinate, without a doubt.
It's in your best interest to attract the right people to your session who will get something out of it, that understand what the session's going to be about. And I don't think anybody ever really does this on purpose. I don't think people are trying to trick anybody. It's just, if you haven't done your due diligence at the very, very front end, then you're opening yourself up to that possibility because you are going to be nervous on the day, and this is a time, this always takes a lot of time because you usually have to prep your presentation and apply months and months in advance. So that's another plug for the free writing.
That's good. That's a good point. Good point.
Okay. So along with the abstract, because that's the piece you need to apply, we have some tips here from the selection committee. I've not been on a selection committee. I've been on several scholarship selection committees, but I have some friends, I have cool friends who have done this for years and years and years for national programs. So
yes,
we had some conversations, and I want to share these with you because it's getting past the selection committee is the first step and the most important at the beginning, because if you don't get past them, you're not going to have the opportunity to speak. So first of all, the abstract. So the decision makers want to hear you tell a story. They want sessions from people who have experienced what they're speaking about and have lessons learned, because that's the most powerful way to teach and get a message across, right? When you're
That's so true.
speaking from your
That's
personal
true.
experience.
Building off of your life
So
experience,
when you're making
you're actually, yes.
Yes. So so when you're writing that abstract, that description part, that first paragraph, try to write it in a way that tells a story. And Chris, I see your question. How much info do you put into your application? I've seen where you can add the basics, or your entire session. It's fine. So
Okay,
a lot
Chris,
of them
it's
have word
okay.
limits, right, Sam? Like,
Yes.
it's fine. I can't type.
That is
comfortably.
yes, a lot of them do have word limits. So, and don't be discouraged by that, because you will have this however many word and session description, and then when you actually get to applying for it, it's like, yeah, you only need 200 of those 500 words. That's fine. Use the session description, your whole abstract, that was for you anyway. But you might have to trim it, because most of the time, yeah, it's asking for like, just give it in 100 words, the whole summary of your description. You're like, 100 words, but I wrote 600 words in this. No, but it's okay. So it might end up just being a few lines from your actual. Same thing with the takeaways, the objectives, but at least you already have that from the abstract. It's easier to pull from that than just like, wait a minute, what do I put on this application? But you're right. So a lot of them have stricter word limits and maximums on that. Oh, that's a good one, Heather.
Yeah,
That was a
I
really
have
good.
make sure your takeaways actually make sense based on your description. Yeah, that all has to come together nicely. Yes, yeah, you can't do a session about quality training and have people take away, how to be a good peer.
That's good.
So, yeah, that's very good advice.
Thank
All
you,
has to be
VP Melanie.
cohesive.
Like that.
Madame VP.
Madame.
Yes, so I have applied for some who want to see an outline as well, and we're going to talk about the outline next. So based on our experience, Sam and I's collective experience, if you do all of these steps, you'll have what you need, but sometimes you will have to clip it down. Because, so for National Nina, for example, there's 90 some sessions. They get over 300 abstracts. That committee doesn't want to read 20 pages from everyone. And
No.
writing a description that is concise shows the committee that you're able to take your ideas and effectively communicate them. So that's part of it.
That's true. You're selling yourself and pitching yourself as much as you're pitching your presentation. You're right, because before they're going to bring you onto that stage, whether it's national, state, regional, whatever, or virtual, they're going to look at your outline or your abstract, your description, and see, is this an effective communicator? At least can we get a clear, focused, concise picture of your presentation just off the page, just from what you're putting on your application before we take that big step of bringing you on and actually having you speak. So like you said, you're right. That is you putting yourself in, really, how well can you communicate what you're going to bring to that stage.
Yes, and I love from Ricardo, focus on keywords and a call to action. That hits people in the feels. You want to hit them in the feels, because then they'll remember you and
that's so true.
Want to have you.
Yes, sir. Like that, Ricardo. I like that.
Okay, so the three. Sorry, Sam. The three takeaways. We talked about that That's important because if you think about the committee, their focus is on the conference attendees having the best experience possible at their conference. You know, that's what's most important to them. That's what's driving them as the attendees. It's okay. Also, your title. So your title is a way to draw attention, draw them into your abstract, right? So you want to be creative, you want to be compelling, but don't get too cute.
Don't get too cute. that means
so what
so
is
much.
The line
so
there?
What is
How do you know though?
I don't know, because like you said, right, you want to be creative sometimes, but and I guess sort of back to when you mentioned how, you know, you don't want your, you know, the session description to not match up with the actual session. You can be creative and you can have a title that's like, ooh, kind of like will draw, but I've seen some titles of some presentations, not even just 911 related, just some sessions, and it just was like completely out of left field. Like, okay, I get the baseball reference, but how did this? Did you just put something, you just mash something together? Like, yeah, and he was trying to be like different, or it's not meant to be question marks. It's not meant to be like, what is this session about from the title? That's not. You really don't want that. You don't want it to be just something completely like the session's called lightbulb. Oh, maybe it depends. But if it's called lightbulb and it's about next gen, maybe not. But you know, it's just a line there. It's just, you don't want to leave them completely guessing. Be compelling, be creative, it can be punny. Okay, I like country music. All the country music is punny. We did masters. Country music is a master at puns, and sometimes punny works, and just sometimes punny doesn't. You know, it just is a line. It's hard to explain, but it's hard to explain until you see that session and you see that title, and you're like, no, that didn't work. That doesn't work.
Titles are the hardest part for me. I mean, I struggle. And what I do is I reach out to several people and I send a list. And Chris, you were doing this as well. But I send like 4 or 5 titles to my friends. If I have a co-presenter, you know, I sit down with them and we do it. Sometimes it comes, and sometimes I need some outside opinion. So don't be afraid to reach out. The example that I got was one of the NINA committee selectors. When Nina was in Orlando, it looks great, buddy. When Nina was in Orlando, he was like, you would not believe how many Disney character themed titles we got.
Now that, yes, that is a great example.
Yes,
that is an awesome example. No, no, you're not.
And I remember
there's no need to thriller it too.
just you know, it's a fine line. But ask for help. Ask for opinions. I remember back in 2019, before 911 Wonder Woman was even a thing yet, when Wendy and I were going to do a session, we called it Empowering the Wonder Woman of 911, and we're like, oh, is Nina going to let us call it that? we were really scared, but it was part of the theme, part of what we were doing. We took the chance there, and it paid off. But if I would have named it like 911 Wonder Woman at the time, it probably would have been. So it just depends. It depends.
It just depends. And maybe, look, okay, you might be knee deep in your presentation and everything and not have a title. And then as you get to, you're like, this is the title. It could just work out. It could come out of one of those keywords or key phrases you use within your presentation as you're getting together, the PowerPoint, everything. And you're like, that's the title. You don't have to get the title first. You have to have the title by the time you're submitting, but you don't have to have the title before, get the idea and then the title. No, you can have the idea and then you can get into the abstract and writing the outline and doing all of that. And then it comes to you. This is the title that's going to work with it. So, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, number 4, think about your presentation while you're writing the abstract. I know that sounds odd, but again, this goes back to you have to have in your mind what the presentation is going to be when you're writing the abstract. Otherwise, you're going to have that issue about writing an abstract that doesn't match the presentation.
Right.
I know you can't
it
see
makes
these
sense
last
when
two,
you
but
really think about it.
yes. Don't get discouraged if you don't get selected.
Oh, yeah.
Again, there could be so many reasons. None of them are that you suck and your idea was bad. I'm just putting that out there.
Exactly.
Don't go to that. Don't default to that. Please don't. You know, you could, and I've run into this. I've applied to different conferences. I've done applied for 3 sessions at this one, 3 sessions at that one. This conference wants to take this session. This conference doesn't. It doesn't mean that it's bad. It just, you just got to keep tweaking. Go ask for advice. If you know someone who is a speaker who speaks a lot at conferences, with social media right now, have such an amazing opportunity to reach out to people we admire and just say, hey, you don't know me. I've been to your sessions. My session's not getting accepted.
Been stalking you
I'm
on
reading
LinkedIn,
my very
all that
short.
stuff.
Yes, it's fine. It's fine.
Yes.
I tell people
Network.
that all the time. You know, with the different Facebook pages now, we have access to each other, and it's a beautiful thing. So if you feel stuck, reach out, and maybe people do have tips for you on how to improve your abstract to get accepted.
You're so
I know
right.
I'm always here for you.
And
guys,
one other point. Oh yeah, Sarah's always there. She's always there, and I'm here too most of the time, except when I'm at work, and except when she's doing all the 100 or so things that she's doing. But one of the things you said, back to the rejections. Hey, I'm a writer, and I know that for every one acceptance, you get 20, 25 rejections before. And truth be told, when you mentioned one of your friends in high places on the selection committee, how when they're getting hundreds of abstracts, unfortunately they can't write you to say, hey, it wasn't that your session wasn't a good idea, it's just that we may have already picked, you're covering a topic and we have 3 other people covering this topic and we just went with that. But on another time, another year, we would have totally went with this. It's also good as well. And that's, so I know as a writer, I've pitched stuff and I've had them reach out hey, it wasn't that this article doesn't work, it's just that we've already covered this, or we already have this in the works. Same thing with this. As we talked about, nothing's new under the sun. And again, it doesn't diminish at all the importance of your focus or your unique perspective. It's just that it could be something that's hey, we just already have this covered. We have this track already done. Now we're trying to get under this track. We got the technology track covered. Now we're trying to cover the frontline track or the supervisor track. So again, that means, hey, okay, maybe I'll pitch it again next year, or maybe, it didn't, I'll pitch it to someone else. Don't feel all right, I'll just trash the whole abstract idea, because it might be good. You might bring it to Sara and you say, Sara, hey, is this a good idea? And Sara's this is a really good idea. It probably just didn't work this time around, but there's plenty of other places you can pitch to, submit to. So definitely, when you get that rejection, take it, be take a breath, do something, drink some coffee, whatever, move on. I tell you, but please don't let it discourage you from ever applying again, just because that one time or that second time you applied, you didn't get it. So yes. Yeah.
Very well said. Another strategy that you can use is, if you're a new presenter, you're new on the scene, partner with somebody who has spoken before, who has a name out there. I was thinking about this the other day as we were planning this session, but my first presentation at National Nina was almost exactly 10 years ago. I just remember this. In 2012, I spoke with Lori Flaherty, who was the director of the National 911 program, about a project we were working on. I would have never been accepted to speak unless I had put Lori's name as my co-presenter. I know this. There's always opportunities where you could be like, hey, Sam, I have this idea, and it has something to do with what you were talking about one time. Do you want to be a co-presenter with me? I know I met Juliette Brown she was the fireworks scholarship winner this year in Texas in April.
Yes.
And I was like, hey, you want to be on my panel? We're having a panel. And, now she gets to speak at a national conference. So, that goes both ways. If you're a speaker that you think you can reach out and help others who you find have potential, reach out and bring them along with you. And, if you have an idea and you want to present with someone, reach out. Just the worst I can say is no. And you're no worse off after that, right?
I love that. And it's weird because in a sense, so obviously we got Nina, happening, and we're going to be there, and Nina will be my first time in person, national stage, giving a session, and I'm co-presenting with a big name to me, who just happens to be my boss. How lucky am I? So Melissa Alterio, the director of Cobb County Department of Emergency Communications, we're co-presenting this. This will be the third time we've given this presentation. But when I got the idea for it, and kind of in line with what you said about partnering with someone, back then when I got this idea, this little light bulb, like, hey, this might be a good presentation. From the get-go, I realized, like, okay, I'm qualified to cover one half of this perspective, but I don't have, the experience in a formal leadership role to talk about this. And it just absolutely made sense that I have to partner up with somebody. I got to get a partner in crime in this to do this session who can completely complement and provide that other perspective. And she was the perfect person. So this session that we're doing at Nina, I couldn't do it on my own. And I'd like to say she couldn't do it on her own. Because it's my story as far as the employee, but she's covering the side of, from the perspective as a director, as someone in a leadership role. So you're right. Sometimes you can have a great light bulb of idea, and you may be like, this would be a great presentation, and absolutely do it. But you might realize through the process of putting your thoughts down and getting together what you wanted to be on, that, wait a minute, I can talk about this angle, but maybe there's someone in my circle who can really talk about this angle and reach these people in the audience. I can reach them. I can reach my frontline people all day long, but maybe she can reach the supervisors, the directors, and everything. So it's similar experience for me that I get to have a really good name, big name tacked on there for the session, and we can actually work with each other. So you're right. Don't think that your first presentation has to be you absolutely stepping out there on the alligators, out there all alone. No, you can bring someone out there with you, with the alligators, and
It's always a little more comfortable that way too. Sometimes when you're up there with someone, it's a little less intimidating.
Definitely less.
Sorry. Okay. Step 4, construct your outline. So your outline is something that's going to come either after or at about the same time as your abstract. And your outline is also going to utilize that free writing session that you did at the very beginning. So again, that's going to pay dividends because you're going to be able to pull from that and pull from your abstract, because your abstract's usually a lot shorter, to make your outline. and I'll show you ours.
That's right. Yes.
So
Yes.
here it is. Again, nothing fancy.
Mhm.
Generally, this is for you, right? This is just for you to
Yes.
organize your
Perfect.
thoughts. So it doesn't have to be pretty, which ours isn't. So this is what is going to lead to your PowerPoint, right?
Yes, it is.
This is where you're going to
That's the beginning of it.
organize. You're going to clump all of those thoughts under kind of one title. So here, just for an example, we went with 5 steps. And
Yes.
just a little tip, sometimes that's something that people look for, like 5 steps to improved leadership, 5 steps to, like making it's
Yes.
a good way to
It
organize.
sticks.
It's
It
simple,
sticks.
it's clean, it's clear.
Yes.
Yes.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So consider that when you're making your session. But yeah, we just have, inspiration, brainstorm, build description. Obviously when we made our PowerPoint, we changed these a little bit, but that's how we organized our thoughts in order to make the PowerPoint. And
That is right.
that's important too, because you don't want to make a PowerPoint that's just text of what you wrote in your free writing. You want to kind of
Yes.
make it a little more in your abstract.
That's right. That's right. That's why that's the reason for all of the steps and all of the writing out, because you're right. Your PowerPoint is not going to just look like word from your abstract, and it shouldn't. And it's not going to look word from your outline. The outline, this session abstract is what you use, okay, to now create your outline, which, like you said, is for you. The session abstract is usually for the purpose of whether the pitching and when you apply and you put it out there, because you're going to use that description and everything. The outline now is for you. The outline is, okay, before I get to my PowerPoint, I'm going to use this so I can have this. So I'm not walking around with mental outline in my head, having to remember what I want. No, got it down, this outline of, yeah, I'm going to touch on, these are the 5 steps, and this is how this is what I'm going to build my PowerPoint from. So yeah, but your PowerPoint is not going to have all of that. It will have some keywords, it'll have some phrases, but your PowerPoint is going to be it's going to be a lot different, because there's going to be a lot more going on with your PowerPoint, but it's also going to be a lot simpler than this outline. This outline is just for you to be able to gauge. So as you work through those slides, that 13 whatever slides of your PowerPoint, you're like, okay, this is what I'm going from beginning to closing. Sara, I don't hear you. Hold on.
Sorry, I was muting so you didn't hear my child. Sorry. Thanks for telling me.
All right.
As another example, so let's look at, we're on step 4 right now, right? So step 4 here, we wrote in our
Yes.
outline, construct your outline.
Yes.
Show example. This is the building block to your presentation. So then if you go back and you look at our actual slide, it's just,
yes,
we have our title. This is the building block. Show the example. And this is what we mean when we say keep it simple, right?
Yes. Keep
but
it
obviously
simple,
we have a
Stevie.
lot
This
of
is what we mean. That's right. That's right. Oh,
okay.
The PowerPoint.
Yes.
PowerPoint.
So,
that's a biggie. A biggie.
There are people who are very, very skilled at this. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to
way
be.
more skilled.
Yeah, there are programs out there. Canva's one of them. You can go in and create beautiful, beautiful PowerPoint presentations. And that's awesome. If you can do that, like, I
Yes.
respect. I just don't. I can't. But
No.
this
But all
is,
power to you.
what we've
Yeah.
yes, power of the PowerPoint.
Power.
But you don't need it if you can kind of follow some of these tips. And this is an example, because all of our slides have been very, very simple this whole time.
Yes.
Yes. But as we have on here, less is more. You don't want to write out everything that you want to say. It's just not nice to look at. And then also, it's hard not to read off the slide if it's all there.
You're so right. PowerPoint, death by PowerPoint is definitely real. So it's if you want, I mean, you can have more bullet points, whatever, but if at the end of the day, like, here you are giving the session, you want your audience, yes, have the PowerPoint, look at this, but you want them to be listening to what you're saying. If you put all 20 things, everything that you're going to say, all these lines of text, then at the end of the day, you're going to be you just sitting there reading from it, and they don't want that. Because if you're having that conversation with your audience, then you're going to be talking to them. You're just talking to them, with them. You're having this conversation. This is not just, here's a whole bunch of words on a page and just read along with me as we go through. Because yeah, it's going to be natural for them to be like, okay, I see 20 lines here, so let me read all 20 lines as we're going. No, we don't want that. This is a guide. That's all it is. It's a guide for you, and it's a guide to help them follow along with you as they're listening to you. But the PowerPoint is as I said, it's not the star. It is not the star of your presentation. And some people, and hey, no, not taking stabs at anyone or presentations, but I tell you what, even the best motivational speakers will tell you that if you want to build your whole presentation around your PowerPoint, fine. But the best motivational speakers will tell you at the end, people are hanging on your words, on the message, and you can get the message across without 25 lines of text running down your PowerPoint slides. So, yes.
Because who's the star of the show?
We are. You are. When you give your presentation, you will be the star. Now, that funny looking cat meme you put might be a runner-up, because memes and PowerPoints are amazing. We don't have any in ours, but memes or PowerPoints, that's awesome. But it could be a close runner-up, but no, you are the star. You, the presenter, the speaker, you're the person that's going to make or break that presentation, not your PowerPoint. Your PowerPoint can go down, and it can go down, and you might be sad it went down, like, oh, whatever. But if you know you have the confidence, you know, I can sit here and PowerPoint's down, but I'm just gonna spend the remaining half hour just talking directly to y'all and making the points I need to make, then the PowerPoint isn't even necessary.
Okay.
Is this a new one?
We obviously have gone over an hour. We could do a whole nother presentation on presenting.
Cheese,
But we wanted to leave cheese. But we wanted to leave you with paparazzi over here. We wanted to leave you with
it's your
a
biggest
couple
fan.
of things. Yes, he is, for sure.
Other than us.
So we'll never forget that. So just, taking, especially if it's your first one or you haven't done many, it is okay to think about the people, the speakers that you've seen that have inspired you or that you like their style, and kind of, mimic or copy or, whatever you need to do, channel that energy. It's okay to watch a presentation and say, oh, I really liked the way they moved. I really liked the way they used their PowerPoint, whatever it is. That all of those pieces of things you like are going to make up your unique style.
Yeah.
So we've
That's
already
so
said
right.
before, reaching out to speakers you respect as well. Sometimes they'll be able to give you tips and things that help them. I remember before I did my first keynote, I reached out to Adam Tim and I was like, okay, first timer, what are your 2 or 3 biggest pieces of advice? And those things helped me tremendously. And I just can't say enough how important it is to reach out to people.
That's so true.
I think that they're so beautiful. Envisioning yourself up there, how do you want to come across when you present? What do you want to look like? What do you like? I put a lot of thought into what I wear. Not because I'm obsessed with how I look, but just it's important to me to come across the way that I want to come across, whether that's super professional or super laid back or somewhere in between. What do you want to look like? What do you want to portray? And because if you don't think about that, you're missing an opportunity to add to your presentation.
All right. And that goes back to point A of that's why you look at presentations of speakers and do it in person, do it virtually, whatever, because you've got to remember, what was that feeling that you had when you saw a presentation and it really moved you or motivated you or empowered you? Because that feeling is what you want to capture in your presentation. So that's why, the same way writers are readers, readers are writers. If you want to present, you've got to attend presentations. You've got to be the audience before you ever be the speaker, because then you can draw from and say, man, when I went to that presentation and I remember how I felt watching, listening to them and how they was able to reach me, the words they used or the style they had and everything. And you can capture that. And it's not, you can say, well, I'm copying, but sometimes that's how you learn. Until you develop your own style or your own way of doing it, you can take that and then use that to say, okay, when I get on that stage or when I'm presenting, this is what I want, the same feeling that I want to infuse in my audience. I want them to feel the same way I felt the first time I saw Adam Tim speak or something. So you're so right. That's how you can put that vision together of what do you want to look like, or what do you want to portray, or what emotions do you want to really get your audience feeling, because how it felt for you when you did it that many years ago. And so you're going to try to bring that and capture that same emotion and that same passion and that same feeling for your first time presenting.
So when it comes to nerves, I think we all get nerves. Nerves mean that you care, right? So it's kind of welcome the nerves.
You're not a psychopath.
Nerves mean you're not,
because you could go up there and be like, I really don't care how anyone takes this. I'm just going to get up here for an hour and just whatever, word vomit. Here's a PowerPoint. Done.
That's
walk
so
away.
true.
But the nerves is because you care about the feedback. You care about, are they going to get this message? Are they going to hear it? Are they going to feel the same passion I feel? Are they going to really, am I going to be able to, that's what that nerves for. It's because you care. Because you care. You're not Dexter. You're not a serial killer. So it's great. It's okay to be nervous. It's okay. But feel the fear.
We're losing them. Also, I've read this and I have found like the first 30 to 45 seconds of speaking are terrifying and shaky, and then you settle into it. Especially
wait, that could be the whole session, Sarah.
It's in seconds. Did I say minutes?
I think I heard.
I meant seconds. I meant seconds. I don't know what I said.
You always said
No.
that. I think that's what you said.
Sorry. The first, the first like 20, 30 seconds are, but once you start to settle in, especially if you have practiced. And I know that some people are more natural and like to wing it. And that's fine if that's you.
I'm not
like,
a
that's your
practicer.
thing. You know yourself.
But for your first presentation, yes. But for your first presentation, it's no harm in practicing. That first time, practice. Then afterwards, you might realize, like for me, the more I might do in my head, like, okay, I'm going to go to this, or I'll look at my slide and be like, whatever. But I know the more I dry run it and rehearse, it just makes me more nervous. But that first time I presented, that first time you present, please do practice, because you're stepping out into shallow waters. You don't know what you're getting into, so it just doesn't hurt to you don't have to do the whole presentation. You can. Some people will do the whole 50-minute presentation on their own, just a dry run, and you can do that if that's what you want to do. Or it can just be looking at your slide and going, I'm pretty much going to say this for slide 1, and I'm pretty much going to say this for slide 2. But practice, yeah. And yeah, time yourself if that helps. Do that, yes, without a doubt.
If you're constricted by time, which most sessions at conferences are, you have to time yourself. Like here, we knew, we have time, because you can come back and watch this later. But
yes.
That's very important.
Like most of the time, yeah.
And you'll feel,
because you don't want to be at slide 10. You don't want to be at slide 6, and you had 10 points to make, 10 steps, and you've only given 5 steps, and you've got 10 minutes left. No. And sometimes, yes, you can get just carried away, and that's cool, but you don't want to get too carried away. At the same time, and you'll get better at it. You might say, well, maybe I was supposed to only spend 5 minutes, and I spent 6 minutes, so I know the next slide I might curve down. But yes, you don't want to completely lose track of your outline or what you had, you knew that, what you wanted to touch on, because you just went completely off, the time. So you're right. Timing yourself can be important.
I know that I practice in front of my family, and I am more nervous to practice in front of my family than I am in front of the audience. So that really
Oh God, I couldn't do that. No,
it kind of sucks at the time.
Couldn't do that. I would be so. Family will. Family will come at you.
They'll give you some honest feedback. I'll tell you that much.
Yes, they will. They'd be like, "You're losing me. I'm falling asleep. God,
let me see here. When I first started, I would do a dry run about an hour or so before the session, pick out spots to hammer home or give a pause for people to think. That's great advice. And when you're standing up there and you're about to start, the only thing that you have at that moment is your preparation. And it's either going to make you feel more nervous or comforted. So
that's true. That's all you've got to go on is yes, just thinking back again, reflecting in your head of, what was those objectives that I put down in the very beginning that I want, what was those takeaways, and making sure as you're going through, kind of being conscious of that, of am I helping towards them with these takeaways? Because yes, your audience, the takeaways which you put down, they may get way more takeaways from that, and that's incredible. You might have an audience member come and say, hey, when you said this part, it hit, and you're like, what? Wow, I didn't even think that part of it, but they was like, it made me think back, and that's fine. If they come away, if you only put down 3 takeaways, 4 takeaways, and they can get 10 takeaways out of it, absolutely incredible. But you want to get at least the takeaways that you did put down. Like, I hope that they got this and they got that, and they walk out just a little more empowered, a little more inspired, than when they walked in for this session, or when they first logged in and tuned into it.
And that's what it's all about. Natalia made a comment earlier that about Toastmasters. And if you haven't heard of
Oh.
Toastmasters, it's nationwide. You just basically go there and practice speaking in front of people. I've never done it. I've always wanted to. My husband did it for a couple of years. But the point is the more you do it, the better you're going to get. And the more feedback you're able to collect, the better you're going to get.
So true. So true.
Okay.
In closing.
Yes.
Mama, you know what?
Go ahead, Sam.
Mama,
In closing, have fun. Have fun. Have fun. My last presentation, I did it, and my deputy director came to me, Robbie. She was like, "Did you have fun?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "That's what matters. Have fun. If you can go into it and you know that between all the passion you have, because again, you picked a topic, hopefully that you really are passionate about, that you've got some knowledge on, you have experience on, something that you can tell, you can base on your story or your experiences, and you can have fun in the process of delivering this, like we had fun doing this. It's so easy to deliver the message that you have, because your audience will have fun too, and they will get inspired, and they will hear it, and they will get just as pumped, and just like, you know what, I can do this too. So have fun. Gotta have. And yeah, not all of them will be gems. That's a truth. That's a truth. Guilty.
It's happened to me, guys. It happens to everybody. It does. Don't get discouraged.
Like, yeah, I either I won't do this presentation again, or the second time around, I know what I'm going to tweak. I know what I probably didn't need to tell that story. That childhood story probably wasn't necessary. I'll take that out. Yeah, so sometimes you tweak it, or sometimes you're just like, nah, not doing that. And so, yeah, it's okay. It's okay. You get better and better and better. About it out. And present again and again. Yes. Sarah, you know all about that.
Practice makes better. I won't say perfect, because
yes, it does.
It will never be.
Yes, you've been doing this way longer, and it's does that mean by the 8th time, the 10th time, there's no butterflies? And there'll be butterflies. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're gonna be completely fearless and have no doubts. No, you probably have some fears, probably have some doubts, but do it anyway. Present anyway. Someone says, on a fly, "Hey, kid, you want to co-present? You want to work on this? Sam, you want to do this?" Yeah, so sorry.
Say yes.
Let's do it, Sarah.
Take the opportunity.
You'll get better and better and better. Yes. Yes.
So starting small and working your way up, this just means, if you start with, you have a better chance of getting selected at the state level conferences, for example, because there are less applicants, right? So if you can start small, like if your ambition is to present at a national NINA conference, start presenting at your state one or several state ones. And now with all the virtual conferences, you have more opportunities to speak and to practice. Go for it. It's going to make you better as a speaker. And also it'll get your name out there. It'll create some buzz around you and your topic. And, the selection committee, they're human, they're objective, but, if they've heard you and they've heard of you, if they've seen you or heard you speak before on a virtual conference and liked it, that's going to increase your chances of getting selected, and it's going to make you a better speaker. So that when you do get that chance, you can knock it out of the park.
110%. Yes. Yes. And like you said, those virtual ones, amazing. Kansas AFCO does virtual, like every year. They've started this. They have their spring conference, virtual conference, the fall one, and they have their in-person as well, but I love it. I love their virtual one. Yes. And a lot of them getting in it. So virtual conferences, that can be a excellent way to for your first time around, So yeah, like that.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. If you do have any questions for us, something we didn't cover or something that you want to clarify, please go ahead and put them in the comments. The idea for for us and for this, for Empower panels, is to do one every month with a different mix of folks. If you have a topic that you want to hear about, please contact me, leave a comment if you're in the Facebook group, or message me, email me. Also, if you're interested in speaking on a panel, this is your opportunity to get out there. I'm always looking for speakers. We do a quarterly workshop too, and I'm always looking for new speakers, people that haven't done it before, to come on and try it out. So we are presenting you with opportunities. Please take us up on them, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. And then Sam and I are working on a specific workshop specifically for this topic, and more of that will come here in the near future. So stay tuned.
To be continued.
To be continued. That's your teaser. That's your official teaser. Okay, this is how to get in touch with us. This is our email addresses. If you have feedback, gosh, feedback is so critical. We didn't really talk about that, but feedback is so critical, whether it be positive or things that you need to work on. Please take feedback. What are you doing? Sorry. Please, he's like eating my arm. Please. So anyway, please give us your feedback. Let us know what you need. Again, this is available at any time.
I'm hungry.
I feel the same way, Anthony. I do. Exactly.
Okay.
I want 2 pieces of cheese.
He wants 2 pieces of cheese. On that note, we are going to go ahead and end. And again, I'm going to thank you, Sam, so much for helping me with this and being on here for our Empower panel. And we'll be seeing you again. And we'll see you next week at Nina and anyone else that's out there. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you as well.
Yes. See ya in Kentucky, Louisville.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
See you in Kentucky. Oh, man. I would end this, but I have a little arm that's making it impossible to use the mouse. Bye, y'all.